So guys, we could about in the building today. Um, it's not gonna be those Fortnite or video game kind of video. Instead, today we're gonna be talking about my personal experience or some of the worst seasons in Fortnite history. Um, Took a little while to think about it, what I wanted to do, and I decided this is what I wanted to do, which is to make a list on the worst seasons of Fortnite right now. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe in the video, and yeah, I think that should be all. Let's get into it. So number. So we're not gonna go really like number 5, number 4. We're just gonna think of just ones off the bat. So I think one of the worst seasons, in my opinion, was Chapter 2, Season 3. I mean, the season wasn't really that good. The water theme I liked. The water theme I definitely liked. I liked that part. The only problem was that the shotguns that they did, they vaulted the pump for the second time this season. Well, the second time in Fortnite history. That was the second time they vaulted it. And they replaced it with the charged shotgun. This thing was terrible. It was just terrible. I mean, it was good in pros and stuff like that, but it took a while for people to get used to it. And I think that's why more people were, at one point, more people playing creative than the actual Fortnite Battle Royale at one point, according to one of the people that was like keeping data of the game. Apparently, yeah, and that was absolutely crazy because they all wanted to use the pump again. They didn't want to hold down the left trigger just to get a even greater chance of having more damage. I mean, even if you fully charge, there are some instances where if you fully charge the charged shotgun, it still wouldn't really do as much damage as the base if you didn't charge it, which was kind of a problem, and Epic didn't really do anything about it. There was also another shotgun in the game. It was called the attack shotgun. It was pretty good. It wasn't nerfed or anything, unlike Chapter 2, Season 5. But the attack was pretty much in its last stages of its prime during Chapter 2, Season 3. So, yeah. Back to the water theme. It was okay. And I like the fact that it dried up as the season progressed. So I actually like that. The sharks, yeah, they were annoying, but overall they were good. The bosses, there weren't as many as they were last season, but it didn't really matter because, I mean, the mythics were still just as good. The burst assault rifle was lets you zoom in. Remember, this is the one that didn't have a scope. It just lets you zoom in farther, and the bloom was pretty good. Really one of the best guns in the game. But honestly, I put that in number 2 as one of the best mythics that season because number 1 I think has to be the mythic kit shotgun. This was the first mythic shotgun that we got in Fortnite history. The second one is obviously the Havoc from last season, but it was called the Kit Shockwave Charge Shotgun, I think, and this thing was absolutely amazing. It was pretty good, and it also came with a shockwave launcher that was in the form of a grenade launcher, which I actually really liked. So yeah, those get a prop. There are some mythics that we just don't talk about, but I mean, to be honest, like the drum shotgun, not the drum shot, the drum gun. Yeah, that thing got nerfed hard. The glider was good for mobility, though. I can't lie. It was either the glider or the shockwave launcher, and it was during a time where you couldn't really use both of them mobility because, well, you couldn't really use both. But it was more preferred to use the shockwave launcher just because it was harder to hit people out of the air. Yeah. So with that being said, that season was probably one of the worst seasons, though. Just due to the fact that besides all that, there wasn't much content added to the game. One and two, it realistically just was. It just didn't really feel like Fortnite. It just really didn't feel like Fortnite. Like taking underwater, it's cool, yeah, and it led right into the yacht season. But I mean, I guess like the storyline took over most of it. There was not as much creativity as I thought there would be, and the skins weren't really that good in the battle pass, except for like two of them. So yeah, it wasn't really that good. But next on the list, I think we gotta go back to chapter one because that one will be chapter one, season 6. Um, there was one specific reason why I did not like the season, and it's because no one remembers it. No one remembers it. Like no one really understood the context of the game. It literally just looked like a plain version of Fortnite, except you just added zombies and a whole and the cube, and that was really it. I mean, Kevin went berserk and made a whole island. He rose from the Loot Lake ashes and went and just created itself into an island. Really one of the best places to land on the map. It was one of the most chaotic. My problem with that island was that there was just not enough loot for everyone landing there. I don't think Epic Games really thought there would be that many people landing there when it dropped. So I guess that's why there wasn't that much loot. But to be honest, I mean, if they were monitoring the game like they said they would probably would have added more like loot spots or something. Uh, that didn't happen. There was more islands that rose up on the map from time to time. It didn't last long. They removed those after a while. They added zombies and they added one of the worst guns in the entire game, the crossbow. That thing was horrendous. The only people that actually liked that gun was Laserbeam, and I mean, props to Laserbeam, I guess, for somehow turning the worst gun looking actually good somehow. I don't know how he did it, but he did, and he was pretty much in one of his primes during his Fortnite season. He was making memes and all that, but whatever, Laserbeam. Shout out to Laserbeam. But regardless of that, there was really nothing else about this season. Calamity was by far the best skin in the Battle Pass. Then the runner-up was probably the Wolverine skin. But yeah, that probably goes over Chapter 2, Season 3. That probably is a little bit worse than Chapter 2, Season 3. I mean, most of the community doesn't even know really what the goal of the season was, if there was any goal. I get it's like Chapter 1, but realistically speaking, I mean, there was just not much to go off the season, and you need content in order for like stuff like that to happen. So next on the list is probably, in my opinion, the second to worst season, and this is my personal experience when playing. It's Chapter 2, Season 8. This was literally like I was kind of close to quitting the game. I was kind of close. I wasn't 100% close, but I was kind of close. Like, I could not get a win this season. I'm not sure what happened. I guess Skibber's matchmaking just decided to ramp up because, like, I'm level 80 and I'm going against kids that are, like, level 150 something, and I'm getting absolutely destroyed. Like, how? It was even worse that literally during this season, it was another zombies year. It was just another zombies year. It just wasn't really that fun. And plus the map was not even, it didn't even look like an updated version of the map. It literally looked like Chapter 2 Season 7, just with air bubbles in like certain locations, and it just randomly changed around the map. And like, if you saw an air bubble during that season, you might as well just not go to the POI, because the zombies are gonna chase you everywhere. You're gonna have all of these, like, you're gonna have the gun, like the minigun and the rifle. The rifle was trash, and the minigun was just awkward. It was just so awkward to use. Like, you have to shoot the gun for a longer period of time, and over time it would do more damage. But I would like a gun that's more instant and more consistent, like the Scar. It just is constant 36, 36, and 72 headshot. But during that season, the Scar was just absolutely trash. That's like it was nerfed hard. It did like 54 damage headshot now, and it was just not like the not like the old season. Not like the old seasons in Chapter 1. But the Scar has been nerfed for quite a while now, and honestly, I don't even want it back anymore. I honestly don't. I mean, after what they did to the Scar when they introduced it back to the game in chapter 4, when they introduced it back in the game, I don't even want the Scar anymore. The thing was trash. But regardless of that, besides zombies and stuff, there were like these little mini events that you had to play out, and if you rent, it's like a little rift. It wasn't like the blue rift. It was like a more dead kind of rift. Like, it just had like a lot of weird stuff around the rift. And if you went in and you spawn a whole boss fight, and if you left, the zombie will literally chase you. No, I'm not kidding. It will literally chase you. If you left the bubble, it will like form a bubble around you as like the zone. And if you left the zone, the zombie will literally run through the zone. I don't know how that's possible. And then it will just chase after you and just try and kill you. And I mean, if you kill him, then yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But here's the thing. You get 0 gravity, that's good and all. But you can't build in the circle. You couldn't build. Now, I get it. It's like they want to make it more realistic in the zombies. But it's a building game. You can't just like put a no build. Remember, this is the time when 0 build was not introduced yet. It was not chapter 3. It's chapter 2. I mean, the building and no building mechanics just did not mix together, especially during the time when building was like at its last stages. It's still going on to this day, but like I think it's kind of getting a little bit less and less like more relevant now. So yeah, but regardless, that was probably the worst season I think well, not the worst season. It's one of the worst. Second to first in the worst seasons. That season was so it was just so hard. It was just not good to me. Like playing, I don't even think I had more than 20 wins that season. And usually I have like around 40 plus wins in the season, but that season was the worst season of my entire career in terms of winning and win percentage and everything. I don't even think I got more than 20 wins that season, which was not good. And I couldn't even get a solo win that season. Usually I'm able to get like a couple of solo wins, but getting a solo win that season was just way too difficult. And honestly, from my personal experience, I think that's going second to first on the worst seasons of Fortnite. Now, this season of Fortnite was literally one of the most traumatic, but also one of the most popular to talk about. And oh man, the way people raged and absolutely complained. They had people literally making speeches in the middle of their live streams to talk about all the bad things that were going on in the season. That's how bad the season was. They literally stopped playing. They stopped doing everything. And in the middle of their live stream gaming time, they literally made a speech, like literally 3 to 5 minute speeches on what is wrong with certain things are wrong with the game, certain things are wrong with the season. And if you haven't guessed it by now, it's Season X. Yeah, that was the closest I came to quitting the game. Now, even though I haven't ran into as many mechs as I originally thought I would run into, you could not play solos. I'm sorry, you could not play solos because of the mechs. It was just horrible. It was one of the worst things, if not the worst thing that they put in the game, besides the Infinity Sword, which only lasted a week, by the way. But this thing lasted the entire season. Like, Epic refused to remove it from the game. All they did was nerf it. And sometimes it felt like they didn't even nerf it. But when it was first introduced, this thing was an absolute war. It looked like it came straight from the World War III, and we didn't even have it. It was so overpowered. Missiles, like one round of fully charged missiles will instantly kill a player, even though they're constantly spamming their builds and everything. Now, Now I figured out a way to actually like bypass the missiles. All you have to do is just keep running away from the mech, and in turn you have to. This is the only safe way you can actually kind of avoid the mech missiles. You have to run away. While you're running away from the mech, you have to place builds, like a bunch of builds, to kind of block the missiles. It worked in chapter 1, and it worked in chapter 2 when they introduced it back into the game again. And let me tell you, like, it worked, but in some instances it didn't, because all they had to do was use the jump thing and absolutely destroy me with the stomp thing. But anyways, apart from my point of view on how the mechs were, everyone else's point of view was terrible, terrible, and just more terrible. I mean, this thing took over the entire game by storm, and this was the death of all defaults, like literally all defaults. It was bad enough that they went up against sweats like all the time, but now like in season X, you couldn't really find a default that like a true default. You couldn't really find one, because most of the time they'll get eliminated by a mech or just by a sweat with a combat shotgun. Yeah, it was a sad day for defaults, and I apologize for all that. But regardless of that, this season was just so trash. It was just so terrible. Mega City was just mid. When it was first released, it literally just wasn't really that good. I know people are gonna say, like, how could you say that Mega City was not good? I mean, we never had a futuristic city before. Yes, we have not had a futuristic city or place on the map, but at the same time, like, they could have done way less with the POI and still would have done a better job. I think they just overdid everything on that map. But I like that they did not. But the only thing I did like about that POI was that they did not spare anything. They did not spare any type of effort on the POI. I think they actually tried to give it their all, and I give them props to that. Yeah. But I mean, even with all the things that I think this is like probably one of the most POI places out of like the entire season. Like, there were so many POIs that you can land at, and if you land at like the outskirts of the outskirts where the POIs are, like the graveyard and stuff like that, or the hill, I mean, you'll still find some people, but not a lot. And I think that's what kept the game a little bit fresh. But other than that, the mechs completely took over the game. Tindatamman didn't like it, Cypher BK didn't like it, Ninja didn't like it, no one in the live stream platform liked it. And what's even worse is that it really spawned in the end game. It can spawn in the end game. So someone can just get in a mech in the end game and absolutely destroy anyone. And the only way to destroy the thing was that the whole lobby had to team up, which normally didn't happen. The whole lobby had to team up to destroy the mech. Yeah. Another thing that Epic did, they spawned it in solos. I don't get why. I mean, it's literally a 2-seater. Now, when they found a mech, people in solos just go up to it, and they'll try to evade all the missiles and the guns and stuff that the mech had as weapons, and they had to try to get into the gunner seat to try and self-destruct the thing, which normally worked out for many pros, but for casual players, I mean, we couldn't really do that as fast as the pros did, and sometimes it didn't even work. And I think that's what started the teaming era for Season X. Yeah, I don't like they should have never added the mechs to solos. They should have never done it, because all that did was just spell a whole teaming device. Like, you can literally find 2 kids in the mech, and they would just team the entire game. I think that goes for like half of the people's games, and you couldn't outbuild this mech. You just couldn't outbuild it. You couldn't outrun it. It was just not, even with all the shockwaves in the world, you still couldn't outrun it. it was just not a good season. And by far, this tops the list as the worst season in Fortnite history. And thank God that Epic learned their lesson from this season. I mean, at least I think they did. Now, they did, I'm going to say one last thing about the max, then I'll be done. But they did reintroduce it. I'm not sure which season, chapter 2, but they did reintroduce it, and the community was going crazy over this thing. Like, they were going crazy. Like, they said, oh, Fortnite has not learned from season X. They have not learned. This thing's gonna be absolutely terrible. But the community has evolved so much to the point where when the mechs were first introduced into the game, it wasn't really that bad. And only one spawned in the map. The whole match, there's only one that spawned in the map. So I think that's where most of the mech's dominance really came from. In the old days, it used to be like 5 or 6 that spawned in at the start of the match, and then progressively it started to dial down into like one and like every once in a while. But chapter 2, Epic really did learn their lesson and decided that they'll keep the nerf version of when they first nerfed it back in chapter 1. They'll keep that version and put it into this specific season, but they'll only spawn in one place. Only one place it will spawn, and that's in Pleasant Park. And I think that's what it wasn't really the mech. You couldn't really save it. You couldn't really go as long as you want to in the start of a match. Like at the start of the match, let's say you clear out Pleasant Park with the mech alone. Most likely the mech will be low in health. And at that point, you can't save it for the rest of the match. You couldn't. It's just not possible. And plus, the community has evolved over time, like a lot. So, sweats and stuff are getting more sweatier, and they destroy the thing. There would even be some matches where people wouldn't even use the mech at all. Like, they would just completely ignore it and just go on with the match. They just go on without the mech. And those are the people that I respect. Like, you don't have to use the mech. As long as, I don't know, you don't have to use it. But that's it for my personal take on the worst seasons of Fortnite history. I will do a season where one of the best seasons. I'll do an episode on that, on one of the best seasons in Fortnite, and I'll probably do a list of them. So yeah, but for now, just like and subscribe in the video, and I'll see you guys later.